Welcome to Essential EGL+Batch. This series is based on EGL Development Tools version 0.8. In this lesson, which is lesson 6, we're going to use some of the timestamp library that we developed in lesson 5. So we're going to go back to the BatchLib library and fix it up a bit so that we'll find also not just the start and end of a function, but the start and end of a program. So let's take a look at the starting code for lesson 6. Now the starting code is going to be exactly what we have been working with as far as the program, but in the BatchLib we're going to add a program name. And we're going to add two functions, which is start program and end program. So I need to copy these source code files, and then I'm going to create a new package for lesson 6 in the EGL program project. And you've seen this before. So I'll right click and paste, bring in that source code. And what do we have? We have a program called lesson 6, which prints out lesson 6. And this is pretty much what we've been doing since the beginning. So let's do some fixing up. For example, we don't really need to declare a variable that's called function name. But instead, we can take the literal string and pass it to the start function directly. So what we're going to do is eliminate that extra variable. Now what that elimination does is it's not going to be able to show up in our debugger because it's a literal. But that's simpler code. And this is just demo function. It doesn't do anything except demonstrate the technique. Now typically what we've been doing is writing directly to the console the name of our lesson. But what we really need to do is incorporate that into BatchLib as start program and the name of the lesson. And then after we've done our whatever we want to do, we want to call BatchLib end program. So it'll start out with the name of the lesson, and then it'll end with the name of the lesson, and then meanwhile it'll start with each of the functions and end with each of the functions in a kind of a nested way. So how do we do this? Well, this is the BatchLib that was coming from lesson 3. And we've added, and we've seen how to do this before when we added the function name, but we've added the program name, and we stole it really from a start function. We created another function called start program, and we took end program pretty much from end function. We just changed the names of the variable that it's using. We're using program name in these functions instead of function name. But it's basically the same code. So what does this look like when it runs? Let's take it for a test drive. We'll take a look at the console. And as you can see, we see the start of the lesson, and then we see the start of the function that we're demonstrating, then the end of the function, and then the end of the lesson. So that's the end of the program. Well, there's a couple of other things that we'd really like to do with this. So let's get back into it. Really what we would like to have is at the beginning of the program, we'd like to see the time that it started. And in lesson 5, we created a timestamp library that can do this for us. So first we're going to declare our timestamp. That's a timestamp type and called it TS. And we're going to use the timestamp library. And when we do in the dot, it doesn't do anything for us. So let's put in a fictional function and do organize imports. Well, now it recognizes timestamp lib, so we can go back and do control space or a dot, and it'll bring up the functions that are in the timestamp lib from lesson 5. So we want to get a timestamp. We're going to capture that timestamp, and then we're going to format that timestamp. Again, we're going to use the timestamp lib to format a timestamp. And let's see, it's going to be TS is the timestamp we're passing to it. Now, does it take a parameter? I mean, do we have to pass the timestamp, the format parameter like we do with the string lib? Actually, the editor is complaining about the extra parameter. So let's see, what is it saying? It can't be resolved. That's right, because timestamp lib display 1 is private. And we can actually check the syntax for format timestamp from lesson 5. And we'll see that what we want to do is make the timestamp display part of the library rather than part of each of the individual programs. So we don't want a parameter that allows us to change the timestamp format. And I'll take the same code to capture the timestamp at the end of the program so that we can print that. And it's a copy and paste. And let's see. There. We'll format the, so it'll say something like end and the name of the lesson, and then it'll give us the timestamp. So it looks like everything works out. That's the lesson 5 timestamp library. Okay, so let's take this for a test drive, see what happens. And open up the console. And look, the lesson was started at exactly that moment, and the lesson ended at exactly that moment. So it took what? Do the math. Almost a second to run. There is one little small typo, and it needs an extra hyphen. And I found that I didn't have to go in the debugger to find that, because I just wrote that piece of code. So now this is a little bit more symmetrical. Well, that's it for lesson 6. This has been part of the Essential EGL Batch series. Thanks for watching.